December 1883. The Colorado Rockies. James Hartley had made a fatal mistake. He'd underestimated the mountain weather, and now he was going to pay for it with his life. His horse had thrown a shoe and gone lame 5 miles back. His matches were soaked through. The temperature was dropping fast, and night was coming. Without fire, without shelter, he had maybe 2 hours before hypothermia took him. He was a dead man walking, and that's when he saw her. She couldn't have been more than 14 years old. Apache, by the look of her clothing and the way she moved, purposeful, efficient, completely unbothered by the blizzard raging around her. James, voice weak, help please. She could have left him. The history between their peoples gave her every reason to. Apache and white settlers had been at war for decades. Her own village had been raided just 2 years prior, but she didn't leave. Apache Girl in Apache, subtitled, "You will die if you stay this way." James, I don't understand. Fire. I need fire. Matches wet. Her name was Datest, though James wouldn't learn that until later. What he learned first was how little he actually knew about survival. Narrator. James watched in confusion as she ignored his pleas for fire. Instead, she was gathering pine boughs, dried grass from beneath the snow, and strips of bark. James, frustrated, shivering. Fire. We need fire. Datest, broken English, no fire. Fire, white man think. Apache know better. Fire make smoke. Fire need wood. Fire go out. Fire make you weak. She gestured to the snow-covered landscape. Where would he find dry wood in a blizzard? How would he keep it burning all night? And what would happen when he fell asleep and the fire died? James had no answers. So he watched. What Datest built wasn't a shelter in the way James understood shelters. It was something far more ingenious. First, she created a thick mattress of pine boughs, 6 inches deep, keeping them off the frozen ground. Then she built low walls of packed snow in a U-shape, using the rock face as the fourth wall. She lined the snow walls with more boughs and bark, creating insulation. Then she gestured for James to remove his wet outer coat. James, alarmed, no. I'll freeze. Datest. Wet kill. Wet steal heat. Take off. She was right. Wet clothing would conduct heat away from his body, far faster than cold air alone. James reluctantly removed his soaked coat, and Datest hung it where it would slowly dry. Next came the lesson that would save his life, body heat management. Datest, you stay still. No move. Move make he go away. Breath slow. Slow like sleep. Make small. Like this. She taught him to breathe slowly and deeply, not the rapid, panicked breathing he'd been doing. Slow breathing conserved energy and retained heat. She showed him how to position his body to minimize heat loss, how to keep his core warm by pulling his limbs close. As darkness fell and the temperature plummeted to well below zero, James lay in that shelter expecting to die. Every instinct screamed at him that without fire, he couldn't possibly survive. But Datest lay calmly beside him, not touching, maintaining respectful distance, but close enough that he could hear her steady breathing. The snow walls blocked the wind. The pine boughs beneath them prevented the frozen ground from stealing their heat. The insulation around them trapped their body warmth. And their slow, controlled breathing conserved precious energy. It wasn't comfortable. James shivered through much of the night. But he didn't die. Datest, meanwhile, seemed almost peaceful. This was knowledge passed down through generations of Apache. How to survive in any environment, with or without fire, with or without tools. The land provided everything if you knew how to use it. When James opened his eyes to see morning sunlight streaming across the snow, he couldn't believe he was alive. James, voice filled with awe, we made it. No fire. We made it. Datest. Apache way. Survive without. Fire is good, but not need. Need no land. No body. Know how to be small, be quiet, be warm inside. She explained, in her limited English and through gestures, that Apache warriors could travel for days through hostile territory without fires. They'd learn to read the land, to use what nature provided, to work with cold instead of fighting it. Before they parted ways, she taught him more. How to find water by watching where birds flew. how to identify which tree bark could be eaten in emergencies, how to use snow itself as insulation rather than fearing it. James, why? Why did you help me? Your people and mine. Test. You ask help. Not take. Not demand. Ask. Say Earth make us all same. My grandmother. Cold kill Apache. Cold kill white man. Same. Mountains not care what we are. So we help. Is right way. Test. You tell other white men. Tell them Apache know these lands. Know how to live here. Maybe they listen. Maybe no more fighting. James Hartley made it back to his ranch 3 days later. His family had given him up for dead. But he was alive, transformed by a single night in the snow with an Apache girl who'd taught him more about survival than he'd learned in 40 years of frontier living. He told everyone who would listen about what happened. Some believed him. Many didn't. Some said he'd gone mad from the cold. But James knew the truth. He spent the rest of his life studying Apache survival methods, treating the land with more respect, and teaching others that there was profound wisdom in the indigenous ways of living with nature rather than against it. Today, many of the survival techniques taught by wilderness experts are based on indigenous knowledge, the same knowledge that Test used to save James Hartley's life that frozen night in 1883. The Apache, along with countless other indigenous peoples, had mastered the art of surviving in harmony with even the harshest environments. They understood that fire was a tool, not a necessity, that the land itself provided everything needed to survive. If you had the James Hartley never saw Test again. But he never forgot her, or the lesson she taught him. That survival isn't about dominating nature with fire and force. It's about understanding nature, respecting it, and letting it teach you its secrets. In a single night, without speaking the same language, without fire, without comfort, an Apache girl taught a rancher that the greatest survival tool isn't what you carry in your pack. It's what you carry in your mind. And sometimes, the people we're taught to fear are the very ones who can teach us how to truly live. The Apache people developed sophisticated survival techniques over thousands of years of living in diverse and challenging environments. Their knowledge of the land, weather, and natural resources allowed them to thrive where others would perish. This story honors that wisdom and the bridges of understanding that can be built when we choose to learn from one another. Dedicated to the indigenous peoples whose ancestral knowledge continues to teach us about resilience, survival, and living in harmony with the natural world.